Hey fellow Kaiju and non-Kaiju fans, Godzilla Cairo here, and welcome to my second discussion video. In this video, we'll be diving into the character development of Optimus Prime from the Transformers franchise. In the first film, he's like any other incarnation of Optimus. He's a leader of the Autobots who fight for the humans and all the things that stand for freedom, with a little added sprinkle of humor. This is also the start of his fascination of ripping heads off. Brutal, yet satisfying to watch. He is rather protective when it comes to Sam and Michaela, as seen with Sector 7 in Mission City with Sam. He is very confident that Earth will be the new home to protect. Ho ho, if only he knew. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen takes place 2 years after the events of the first film, and Optimus's confidence had boosted of Earth being their new home thanks to the creation of Nest and fighting alongside the humans. Of course, we have Galloway, who is a bit of a dick, but Optimus probably doesn't let that swing him. But we do see that he takes the consideration of the liaison's words about leaving. Though he did pose a question about them being wrong when they leave. Again, we see just how brutal Optimus can be when facing against a militia and killing the Decepticons with a shot through the head. I know that people say it's out of character of the leader, but let's be honest, it's still war. Brutality is a part of war. Then a pivotal point of the film, the first battle. You remember how some people said that Optimus was holding back in the first film in Mission City? Yeah, that's believable now with this battle. Sure, at first he gets his ass handed to him, but with one look at Sam hiding behind a fallen tree and hearing his human friend's voice, he steeled himself and tanked Starscream, Megatron, and Grinder, dispatching Grinder and ripping the arm off of Starscream and essentially knocking him away with said arm. Then, while looking for Sam, he got a sword stabbed through his back and a blast through his spark chamber before dying. Gotta have the Mac die at least once in every continuity, I swear. Diane must have done things to Optimus. What? Who knows, since he doesn't talk about it after he comes back to life, or in any other material for the film and post-film. Anyways, so he came back to life thanks to Sam pushing the Matrix within his spark chamber, reigniting his spark. May I say, we can all agree that Optimus would be slightly concerned learning that Sam had died, met the Primes, and then came back to life. Anyways, so we all know how the second movie ends, and it seems that Optimus and Sam is a little tiny bit closer. Transformers: Dark of the Moon, the final film of the first trilogy that was meant to be the last of the franchise. Optimus is still the leader we all know and love. Although after what happened in Ukraine, he's rightfully a little pissed with what they had found there. Of course, he was calmed down when he met a few people and explained what they had found was. Obviously, Optimus was low-key thrilled at the prospect at finding the Ark, and thus finding his mentor and friend, Sentinel Prime. This is where we see a glimpse of Optimus's doubts in himself as a leader. Or at least that's how I see it. Sentinel, of course, shows him, although that wasn't a good thing later on, as we see. After Sentinel's betrayal and the death of Ironhide, you can see that Optimus had been affected by this, and did not debunk Meering's words. Right here, we see the first betrayal he had to go through, and just how deeply it affected him. We finally see a crack in his outward character that he always portrayed. We see Optimus trying to stop Sentinel at the Washington Monument, but then it get there in time, and hey, loads of clones moving in. They have a scuffle, Sentinel spares him and went on his way, leaving Optimus watching after him. We all know what happens next. Sentinel told the humans to send Autobots off. Humans does. The Autobots complied. Well, the rocket gets blown off. The Zintheum? I forgot the name. But the bots were smart and hid in one of the detachable thingies. And they show up just outside of Chicago and help counter the Decepticons. The Battle of Chicago happens, and at the end, we really see where Optimus gets his brutality from in his fight with Sentinel. His former mentor is ruthless, taking off Optimus's arm from the shoulder, and then threw him down while Optimus was trying to plead with his mentor. It was around this time where Optimus realized how serious Sentinel is about killing him. Then, Megatron comes in, saves him, and offers the truth, which would have been all fine and dandy, but his wording was not on point this time around. So instead of Optimus taking up on the truth and risk things, he decides to deliver the best one-liner in the film after Megatron asks the best question in the film. As the Red Queen would say, off with his head. Then Optimus kills Sentinel and all is fine. Except it's not. Just from his Age of Extinction is where we really see how everything is just taking a toll on the Autobot leader. So we know that the human government didn't want anything to do with our robotic heroes. Fair enough. He probably understood and went without much of a hassle. He was probably blindsided when Cemetery Rind came into existence and began to hunt he and his Autobots down. So he's been on the run for about 5 years. 5 years of running, hiding, doing what he can to survive. And then he got severely injured in Mexico City, forcing him to change forms and hide in an old theater. Once Cade buys him and brings the leader unknowingly into his barn, it wasn't long until we get a look at a weakened and more or less broken Optimus, who sadly learned not to trust any humans he came across or meet because of Cemetery Rind. Although it seems that he still have at least some faith in some humans because he stayed with Cade and allowed the inventor to repair him. Good to see that Optimus still thinks some of us are still good. Skip to what I guess would be a few years later and Lucas, the gullible man, called Cemetery Wind and reported Optimus and thus Cade hid the giant robot under his barn and walked out, insisting that he didn't have Optimus at all, later saying that the Mac had drove away without his knowledge. The Mac probably was hearing all of this, which made his faith in Cade grew until he revealed himself to save the human and his daughter, despite still being injured. At this point, he was showing the same concern for Cade as he showed for Sam, even when Optimus was facing off against Lockdown the first time. When he met up with his Autobots after that all went down, and assuming a new disguise, we see him and others watching footage of the drone that Cade managed to snag and work on. On the footage, it held the death of some of the prior Autobots from the previous films. Afterwards, Optimus vowed that the human that had done this will die. One of the instances where I saw people saying that he wasn't in character. Here's the thing, he is in character. He's not a character who had been betrayed by those he and the Autobots were sworn to protect. To be on the run, trying to survive being hunted down by the humans, and now he had to see his Autobots getting slaughtered. Most of them trying to flee before the killing blow. I'm pretty sure that all of us can safely say that they would be pretty pissed to that point as well. Just because Optimus is the leader of the Autobots does not mean that he's above anyone else in terms of mentality and so on. Anyways, we head back to Chicago where the KSI place is located, and they hide in an abandoned cathedral or whatever. And here is where we get a bit of dialogue that hinted at Optimus's and Bumblebee's relationship. Basically, he was grumbling about Tessa and Shane getting a little cozy before mumbling about teenagers never listening. Optimus replied that he had went through the same thing with Bumblebee. This pretty much confirms that Optimus did, in fact, tease him in a sense, giving him yet another layer, and it would explain why Optimus was so furious later on in this film. So as Kate infiltrated the KSI headquarters, using the drone to transmit Ratchet's head getting melted down into scrap, Optimus is obviously pretty pissed at seeing his oldest friend being melted down like that, and then he and the other bots stormed into the lab. Optimus exchanged some words with Joshua, with the said human being rather cruel with his words before Optimus ordered a retreat, and now off they go. Of course, KSI and 17 Weird isn't far behind, with their own homegrown Transformer Galvatron, who's really Megatron. So the two fight, Galvatron revealed to be sentient, and then Lockdown joins the fray, capturing Optimus at test after revealing that Optimus's creators want him back and so on. When they were saved by Cade, Shane, and the Autobots, and met up with one another in the train yard place, I think it was anyways, Optimus confessed that he had felt Megatron within Galvatron, which probably jarred him mentally a bit. Next morning, after Cade made the call to Joshua, they were all loading up into the ship that they stole from Lockdown, and Optimus made it clear that after this, the Optimists are through with helping the humans. This is understandable. He does not want to be betrayed by the humans again, and get even more of his Autobots dead. His priority at this point of time was his Autobots. Of course, that didn't last long on the way to Hong Kong because Cade talked and convinced him to have faith of what they could be, which probably reminded him of himself when he had first came to the planet in the first film. So the Autobots got split up when they were trying to pick up Joshua and the Seed. Optimus drift in crosses and landed in one of those national parks. And Optimus, after receiving a call from Hound, went into the ship and freed Grimlock, Strafe, Scorn, and Slug. Of course, Grimlock being Grimlock, he did take kindly with Optimus's leadership role and attempted to attack him, overthrow him, whichever you want. Optimus tried his best to make him see reason with words, but as soon as Grimlock transformed, he knew that was futile. So he had to take him down and threaten him, just because he was desperate of getting back to Hound and Bumblebee. Then he rolled Grimlock into Hong Kong. Anyways, so we all know how the fight goes, so I'll get right into the final fight of the film. This showcased just how far Optimus will go for any comrade or friend, as he managed to let off a shot and kill Attinger as the human was about to kill Cade. Of course, this would leave him open with being pinned by his own sword. Cade was quick to try and return the favor, trying to shoot at Lockdown. This was around the time that Bumblebee, Shane, and Tessa came into the mix. Optimus was quick in trying to order Bumblebee back, but the younger mech just kept going, helping Cade and distracting Lockdown long enough for Tessa and Shane to free Optimus. Just in time, too, as Lockdown was about to kill Cade. Once he killed Lockdown, Optimus had set one of the dead mech's bombs and then flew the three humans to safety, to his Autobots. And it was here that he allowed the Autobots to go into the Chinese wilderness and decide to take the sea out into space and try to find his creator, and thus ends the film. Just from his last night, well, we don't really get to see a whole lot of Optimus in this one, since he was floating in space, was held captive by Quintessa, and was making his way back to Earth. But I'll do my best. So when Optimus lands on Cybertron, he was obviously in shock at how bad of a state it was. He knew that it would be damaged and maybe even destroyed when the space bridge was destroyed, but still, it came to a shock to him. Then he meets Quintessa. He bound him and began to play him, which, at this point, after everything, wasn't that hard. I think that since Chicago, he had doubts about himself, and with Quintessa saying what she does, it made that grew, which made her reprogramming him much easier. The next time we see him, after Quintessa tells him about Unicron, he's at the underwater resting place ship, where he slices through some of the guards that were stationed to protect the staff from anyone who wants to take it for themselves. He took the staff, and once the ship thing made its way to the surface, Bumblebee had intercepted him, and the two began to fight. Bumblebee managed to hold his own for quite some time, before he was eventually pinned with Cade. Just as Optimus was about to kill him, Bumblebee finally spoke, using the voice he hadn't used since Megatron took his voice back on Cybertron. The shock of hearing that familiar voice, and the fact that B was talking, well, it jarred the reprogramming, and he allowed himself to come back to who he once was. Then Megatron appears, grabbed the staff, and left. The Knights then appear, punishing Optimus for giving in to Quintessa, and he says that they were going to kill him. And to me, it looked like he had accepted that fact. He was ready to die if it meant making up for his wrongdoings. Then Cade stops the Knight, and Optimus made a vow to never betray them again. Then they went to England to Stonehenge to try and stop Quintessa and Cybertron for destroying the Earth, aka Unicron. And then the fight was on once it got onto Cybertron. Optimus is as brutal as ever, and then made it out with Cade and Vivian. Optimus gave his speech at the end of the film, and that's all we have on him at the moment. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below on what you want me to do next, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon so that you can get notifications on recently uploaded videos. This is Godzilla Kairu, signing out.